Hi, everybody. It's Nancy Reyes with For Your Canine.
And Joanne Stoike with For Better, For Worse.
So tonight's topic, we had talked about doing this topic quite a bit ago, dog-to-dog interactions, because people seem to have the most questions about those things. And there's no easy way to train it. Hi, Sue. No easy way to train it, and that where it's just a one size fits all. It's very individual, and it really depends. So we're going to try to tackle some of it as much as we can. So that's why I said part one. There's so many different interactions between dogs that, quite frankly, we could be on for hours. So we're just going to address some here and there, and hopefully, and we're really open. Hi, Joyce. We're really open to questions and comments. We do have some video today as well, so we'll kind of get started. So the reason we started this discussion, it seems like we've both been in dog training a very, very long time, and we've been working with dogs a long time, but it seems like seems like a lot of reactive dogs and a lot of in-home altercations and tiffs and things like that. And a lot of people have just gotten, I don't know, overly relaxed about dogs meeting and everything like that. So we just decided we're going to kind of talk about it and address some of those issues and kind of talk about what to do and what not to do. So, hey, Mel. And Ronnie and everybody. So that's kind of how this came about. So we're going to start with allowing dogs to meet and greet. The when to do that and when not to do that. So, first one. It is no different than us going up to people. You kind of get some cues from a person if they want to chat with you or not. Most of us pick up on those social cues. Some of us don't, but mostly, if there's a warm, inviting kind of a body language, you will go and introduce or talk or feel comfortable talking. And other body languages, not so much. Like they're not really interested in having a conversation with you. So most of us, again, can pick up on those social cues and do that. So, and we are not going to like every single person we meet. And we'll also like them at different levels, right? We're going to really like some people, and some people we're going to just enjoy their company. So, but however, we put this on their dogs that we expect them to like every dog, and they should be able to meet every dog and be able to visit with every dog. And I'm not sure how that came to be, because we don't like everybody, but we do expect that of our dogs. So, and then that's when altercations happen, dogs have bad experiences, and if they have bad experiences at a young age, it really becomes a big problem later on. And it doesn't matter what breed it is. If it happens to have a bad experience during a fear period, it's there forever. You can make it better, but it's not going to ever go away. Joanne, anything you'd like to add before we jump in?
I'm just loving the energy that you're bringing tonight, Nancy.
Well, I'm trying to be really thoughtful about what I'm saying, because I'm like, I don't want to offend anybody, golden retriever owners.
He loves everybody.
Yes.
No, it's funny. I see it in our beginning classes as well. And I do see this more in, say, the guardian breeds or the bigger breeds, right? As soon as the dog, gives a cue, something small, people are like, no, right? And they're correcting the heck out of the dog, which it's doing the exact opposite of what you think it's doing. So this is a really near and dear topic to me. I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about, I live in a house divided. And it's because, I saw some of these things, and, Nancy saw some of them as well. Like, hey, you might want to watch this. And so, I realized my boys, they don't want to be friends, and that's okay. it sucks to have X pens up and not live in a harmonious. Everybody gets to be together all the time, but it's what I need to keep harmony in the house. So I think we miss that sometimes, and we just let them see if they're going to fight or let them see if they're going to work it out. And a lot of times that does not end up well. You'll end up with a large vet bill, trying to find that emergency vet that's open at 10 o'clock at night. So,
yeah, right. Where did the expectation? I know, Michelle. Hi, Michelle. God, long time no hear. Yeah, it's like, where did that expectation come from? I'm not really sure. I think it came along with the dog not being created, but we won't get into that. That's another Facebook Live. But yeah, where did that expectation come from? I don't know, and I don't know why that is. So what happens a lot is people allow their dogs to go up on other dogs, and maybe it could depend. The dog may not be feeling well, or it really isn't interested in meeting that other dog. And I think things should be structured. It's hard to control things when you're in the wild. When you're in the crate in the wild, it's just, you can't do it. So dog daycare, yeah. Well, and I'll be honest, a well-structured daycare is very helpful when they're young. But a lot of people want to have the daycare for them to run the dog. But like, for example, I have Shepherds and I have a lab. Labs are always daycare dogs. But Shepherds I want, when they're young, I don't mind having them some play, structured play in a good place, so they can be comfortable around other dogs. But that's it. After a certain age, they don't want to play with other dogs. They are not interested in doing that. Labs, and some labs might be. My lab is more of a people dog. Maybe because she's been with Shepherds. I don't know. But dog daycare, it has a place when they're young. Yes, that's true. Michelle's like, the expectations of dogs out in public. Just because they get along with dogs in daycare doesn't mean that they can be out and about and meeting other dogs. And the big problem, and the big thing that I am most concerned about, I have a very loving, cuddly Shepherd that likes everyone and is very tolerant, and he's a great dog. But I want to make sure he stays that way. So I do limit who he plays with, how much time he gets, and when he does have playtime with his friends, he gets some structured time. He doesn't I just don't let him run up to other dogs. He's very busy and intense dog. And I feel that, but I want him to be safe. I don't want anyone to hurt him or give him a bad experience at this age, or, when he was younger. He's now 3.5. So he's never had a bad experience, but I've made sure of that. And when he was young, he got to play with other dogs and be around in a structured setting. And then as he got more mature, I didn't let him. The play was more supervised, so he didn't get to practice being, not doing good things. Just saying. Stop. Yeah,
my big guy, he's also, a Doberman, so the big scary breeds, right? He has a very short temper. He actually likes dogs a lot. Dogs don't like him so much because he's very amped up and aroused, and most dogs are like, no, don't bring that around here, right? Because he's like the hyperactive kid on Red Bull. So, but he really is. And so, he has a couple of friends that he plays with, and he plays really well. But again, it's all structured, right? They can't have toys out because he can get a little possessive about toys. He kind of likes girl dogs, but if a girl dog, is going to be rude and sort of stand on him or get really pushy or nippy, he will turn around and he will make a jerk move. And he just has a very short temper. And so I don't want to let him practice that. So again, everything's very structured, although I did, when he was younger, try and get him around a lot of good quality dogs. So he had a lot of interactions with males and females. But, like Nancy said, as they mature, they just shift a little bit. So you have to be more careful.
Yep. And and I'm picking, Donna Geis, I was like, I'm picking on the Goldens, but this is where we have the most, it's like, my dog's friendly. Well, that's awesome. And I'm really glad. So is mine. But I'm not going to set up a meeting in the wild, right? Because when it goes bad, it goes really bad. And my dog, who that's a shepherd, is going to be the one that's going to be a problem. So, and I know most of the people who are in the dog world are very good about that, but other people out in the Joe public, and even some of the dog world people, right? They're not really great about watching their dogs, and all that. And it could be after being around and hanging around, maybe the dogs can interact in a structured way, but just letting them run out to the end of the leash. The other issue with that is, if you allow the dog to run out to the end of the leash to meet another dog, that encourages pulling. So then you'll have that on top of it. And so, like, my boy loves other dogs, and that's great, and I'm happy that he does. But I don't allow him to just drag me to go meet a dog when he feels like it, because that's not allowed ever. You will meet and you will play and you will have that in a defined time, right? You're not going to do it whenever you want to, right?
I just keep seeing the meme of Tango pulling Nancy, of like the old lady with the Great Dane who ends up like sideways flying behind the dog.
Right.
He's a big boy, you know.
Yep. And those of you who have little dogs, it's the same thing. Do not put your little dog in that situation and let him go up to dogs that could actually kill him. So I have both. I have big dogs and I have two little ones, and I had four little ones at one point. And my little ones, I'm very careful, because all it takes is, one chomp, and it's going to be expensive. So I think dogs need to be around each other, and dogs need to be near each other and learn how to behave around each other. But that doesn't equal they should run up to each other and visit and play. And Sarah, I agree. Dog parks makes it seem, and meeting on leash is a lot different than being off leash too, even though both can go bad very quickly, right? Both can go bad very quickly. And some people take dogs that shouldn't be in dog parks to dog parks. They're over aroused and they're just not able to do that. So one of the things that I wanted you to get from this is, really don't let your dog run up to people to meet, unless they know each other. If they know each other and they're pals, great. But even then, that one dog may not be feeling it that day, and they can get into a situation. And those of you with young puppies, you really want them to get out and interact with other dogs. You also want to find good adult dogs that will be good with your puppy and fair, and have good play experiences. But you want to be very careful that those don't get out of hand either. Yeah, that's right, Tamara. Especially because if the puppy has a bad experience at this time, it's really hard. I work very, very hard. I work very hard for all my dogs are great with other dogs. They're really good. I don't worry, but I worked hard to keep them very safe when they were young because of that. I didn't need that situation.
Yeah,
And
Amy has a really good point too, and I don't know where this came from either. It's like, where did all the loose dogs come from, right? So many people. I mean, you're just walking in your neighborhood or in a park, or you're trying to mind your own business and have a nice walk with your dog, and it's like these dogs just come flying out of nowhere. Oh, don't worry, he's friendly. It's like, you don't even know me. You know what I mean? You don't know that my dog won't eat your dog.
right.
I just don't get it.
Yeah, I just feel like, where did the public go? And that's why it's like, if you guys can educate people in a positive way, those of you who are really in a positive way, let's try to do that, right? Let's try to educate folks in a good way. So, and a couple of things, I know sometimes, unless you're really good at reading dogs, letting them go off leash. Usually when I do consults, that is one of my specialties. I am very good at reading dogs, so I can put two dogs together that will usually go pretty well. And if I'm not sure, I back it down and I use Suzanne's meet and greet protocol, which is they get to be for a few seconds and come away. But sometimes it doesn't even have to be that formal, you guys. It could be very simple, and you really want the dogs to really the dogs, a lot of the dogs will tell you that information really quickly and early on. So, yeah, Amy, I don't walk my dogs either. I hate to say it, but I don't. It's too dangerous with loose dogs, and with my littles, forget it. That's not even an option. Somebody comes out of nowhere and hurts my dogs. It's not a good thing. So here's the thing. So dogs should be able to be calm and relaxed around other dogs. That's really important. Dogs should be, and a meet and greet should be in a calm setting and relaxed setting and a lot of open space. Outside is best if you can have them meet. Outside, big open. Size matters to the dogs. For us, a big room, a big training facility, maybe, there's plenty of room. And for some dogs, not so much. So we're going to show a couple of really quick that we worked on, and this to spark any questions. But if you want your dog to be always to be a calm and relaxed around other dogs, so that's why in our Focus Fido and Relax and our reactive dog classes and in our puppy classes, we start teaching the relaxation protocol. So that Suzanne's relaxation, so they learn how to be calm around other dogs. It's nice that they want to play, but two dogs should never start play when they're just out of their minds. I don't allow it. And if they can't calm down enough, we wait until they can. We don't engage that day until they can.
Yeah, because remember, guys, this rule applies, like she said, right, both for reactive dogs who might be a little, like, have some issues with other dogs, but also those dogs who are so overly friendly, they'll drag you to find a dog.
Sorry, didn't mean to do that. I wanted to set this up first. What do you suggest for a dog that wants to meet all the dogs she sees? Well, Roger, since you're talking about Miss Missy, it's really nice and all that. Set up some training, like sit or down or relax, and make sure the dog is not going to hurt her, right? I used to use, and I still do sometimes, use Cha-Cha to work with those dogs because she's very calm and very chilled and very fair. My almost 13-year-old Shepherd. She used to be my puppy trainer for many, many years and educated many young dogs because she's fair and the dogs really understand her, and she's been great. Tango, incredibly, is stepping into that role. The only thing is he wants to play too. He's a big puppy himself, so we're waiting until he gets a little older to work on it. Anyway, so here you go. This is a video Joanne did. It's Noah, her very lovey-dovey Vizsla.
Vizsla.
Yes. And Gidget, who's a little bit nervous, Australian Shepherd rescue that is really not interested in meeting him at all. Okay. So you would never say, this is fine, go. And this is what we get right in when you say, go say hi. She's like, no. If the dog says no, go for that. For and Bliss respect the puppy trainer. Yes, she's trained them both very well.
I said, don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's pretty clear. I really mean it. Okay, so here's this video. I will try to turn up the sound because wow.
Sorry for the screaming puppy in the background.
Yeah. So this is Joanne with Noah. So they should be able to sit by their owner. They should be able to just be there instead of losing their mind. Very important.
And see the anticipation in him, right? He's trying to go forward. He's trying to go forward. It takes a lot for him to maintain that sit. He's happy, wagging his tail. And I know it's a little small, but if you notice what she was doing, she's like, ew, get away from me, right? She's turning her head to avoid him. Right.
And he's a close talker.
He is. I love you.
And so you see John trying to get Gidget to go meet him, and she's like, no, I don't want to. He goes, look, I'm stretching. Look it. So he's doing everything in his power to be like, but he goes, look, I'll sniff my mom. And he's doing everything to be like, come on, it's okay. And she's like, no, I'm good. Not interested. All Vislas are cold stalkers. You are right. You are right, Amy. She's like, God, you can't take a hint,
He's like,
can
all
you?
right, I'll take the person instead.
Right.
And so you see here, though, she was interested in meeting me, right? I mean, she knows me, but she did approach me on her own. As soon as kind of Noah went to John and left her alone, she came to me. So just because humans and dogs are very different, right? A dog might be super interested in you, but very much not interested in your dog. So that's important to note as well.
And this also creates conflict in the dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
This creates a lot of conflict in the dog and she's really clear. So would you let these two dogs play? No, never. She's not interested. I don't think anything bad will happen, but why? Noah is 4, and how old is Gidget?
Gidget's 5 or 6, I think. So they're similar ages.
Yeah. So you see how when you have a dog that likes dogs and people, how the conflict could cause some issue for the dog. She was interested in seeing Joanne, but not interested in meeting Noah. And sometimes we create that conflict. So sometimes it's really good to separate that, right? And have them meet the people, see if they want to meet that person, and then before we add the dog. Because of the other issue we have, if the dog is worried about people, and then she doesn't like dogs either, then you have a really, really stressful situation for a potential dog. So you have to know if your dog is great with people, terrific. And then you shouldn't have any issue, but you need to know that because your dog might, and the truth is maybe they don't like that particular person, even though they might like a lot of other people. So you want to not create that conflict in the dog. Because here for Gidget, there was a little conflict, right? She wanted to go see Joanne, but she didn't want to get near. She didn't want to meet Noah. So you want to be very careful. And when you create that conflict in the dog, you can create some issues, some bigger problems. So just be really mindful of those kind of things, because I don't think we think about that, because they're not meeting just the dog. They're also hanging out with the person. And this dog is very sensitive to that. All right. Next video. So this is a youngster, a very rude youngster with Noah. Noah's been he's been working hard to make these videos. But anyway, here we go. And observe what you see in this video with these two young dogs. I mean, Noah's not young, but the puppy's what? How old is he, Joanne?
Almost 5 months.
Thanks for the thumb. Welcome. Because there's a story behind this video, this clip. Okay, so really quickly, what did you think about their play situation? What did you guys think about it? Joanne, there's a story behind it, but I won't
tell yet.
I won't tell yet. So did you think Noah, and I'll put it again, do you think Noah was appropriate in his play? No, Tim.
Noah's 4 and the puppy is almost 5 months old.
So how many people think Noah's being appropriate? Good. Very good, Lori. Right on. Spot on. Spot on, Lori. Anybody else?
Yeah, Kathy, I know you say a little rough for the puppy, but if you really look at, he's not even using his mouth most of the time.
All right. Tell the story there, Joanne.
So this little guy is up for adoption. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And so he is.
He's so subtle, isn't he, guys?
Yeah, I know. So he was adopted to a family at very young with a second puppy, not related but same age. So with both puppies, a little too much, so they ended up giving up this little guy. He is kind of a jerk. He will come in and he's, when he chases Noah, he's nipping at his flanks. I mean, pretty decent. Noah will yip sometimes because he's got a pretty hard mouth. He'll come in flying in and stand on his back. He'll kind of try and grab his neck. And this is the puppy trying to do this to an adult. Okay. So that's what you did not see. And context is important, guys, right? So I mean, for people who are saying he was a little rough, he was a little relentless on the puppy, but it's a very good teaching moment, and you didn't see what was before it. Okay. The other thing with being rough, he really was not using his mouth most of the time. He was using his chin. Oh my! He was using his chin and kind of his body weight. And when the puppy continues to kind of bite and come at him, he actually lays on top of him, like, dude, chill out. So the puppy also, the other thing that you notice, the puppy was not trying to get away. It was more of a chase game. The puppy continued to come back, meaning this wasn't too much for me. I still want to engage in that play.
Right. So Lori got it right on the nose. Like that little guy was playful, but needed to keep the little guy on check. And yes, Amy, he will never play with Bam. ever, 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 ever.
I don't know how I would explain that to the rescue, but
Yes. So and that's different with and that's he was teaching the puppy how to. That's why some puppies, like this particular puppy, he needs to play with dogs that are going to keep him on check a little bit. Otherwise, he's going to be a real jerk as he gets more mature. And like I said, and Noah was very fair and playful, but kept him on check a little bit, right? Okay. So and this is a good. Yes, he's coordinated, purposeful. He's avoiding putting his mouth on the pup. He is much more coordinated, and he allowed that for the puppy, which was a good thing. Okay, the next one is Godzilla. Now, I'm going to preface it by these two dogs live together. They live together. I'm just going to put it out there. So Bam's having a hard time with that relaxed part, and he's never really actually gets relaxed enough to be able to, to make any headway here. But he and Fire just thinks he's a no, and you see how pushy, and she's like real clear about like don't be a jerk. And he's pretty clear, like I don't know. Like she doesn't move towards him. She looks at him with disdain, like, oh my God, can't believe. Right? So the border collie's like, yeah, you're dumb. Don't like that energy, don't like that. And she's like, I will kill you, right? So Fire says, yeah, don't do it, man. I'll cut you. But you see how rude and pushy he is, right?
This is why no one likes Bam. Except for his few girlfriends out in the world.
Yeah. Yes, because my lab thinks he's dumb. So she doesn't like him much either.
He knows she bites hard, so he
Yes.
leaves her alone.
Yes, he does. But you see how he's just too much, right? And he just doesn't. And she goes, go say hi. And she goes, no, I live with him. He's a jerk. No.
And here's the thing, guys. He's not mean, right? It's just that energy constantly, right? So I said it's like living with the the kid that's on 6 Red Bulls. I mean, it's just, what are you doing? What are you going to do? Okay, come over here. Let's go, right? And he's trying to play, and she's just like, get away from me.
Yes, Fire is not a fan of Jobs. Absolutely. Imagine Bam with a different handler and a flexi leash. Oh my God. No. Let's not imagine that, shall we?
Oh my
gosh. So you guys, there is a way that you can, and even still, there's no foolproof, but you can see how pushy and intense he is, and the dog will have no part of it. I cannot tell you. How can I tell you how many people I see that scene in an event, and they're like insisting that border collie go visit that dog, and it's like the dog has told you in 1,000 different ways they're not interested. People get very offended when the dog doesn't want to play with their dog. It really just it's mind-blowing. And then they push the dogs into a situation where they feel they have to defend themselves, and then they have an altercation, and then voila, there you go. You got to fight, right?
So Nancy, basically, Lori, Nancy just answered your question. Does Bam leave her alone in the house? Bam is behind a gate, right? And I hate it. I hate it living in a house with X-Pens and gates and having to split attention with that. I hate it. But to have peace and harmony, I would have fights in my house. I've never had a fight in my house, but I would. So I'm doing what I have to do to keep everybody happy and safe and right. I love my Doberman very much, but nobody else does.
So, how often do dogs that are less than a year get to interact with us or have supervised play? Well, I would when they're young puppies, between 3 to 6 months, they should play. They should have at least weekly, if not every couple of days, of supervised play. And the purpose for this play at the young age, let's be clear, is so that they aren't afraid of other dogs. They understand what it is, and they learn how to understand each other, and they know how to speak dog. That's why you want them to play when they're young in supervised situation, so they learn it. Because if you don't, there's other people that are at school that they never let the dogs play, but then that means the dogs are not going to be good around other dogs. And by good around other dogs, meaning they can walk past another dog, they can see a dog at a dog show, and you don't have to manage it so much. I don't have to manage my dog going past another dog. I expect them to walk past it unless we're going to do something else. And if I stop and talk to someone, I will have them in a down or a sit stay while I'm having that conversation. It's not permission for him to go over there and say hi.
Well, and just to add to that, right, where you're saying every couple of days, at least once a week, it's really, really important for puppies to have good interactions with good quality adult dogs.
Yes.
Right? These are dogs like Noah, not Bam, right? Bam should never play with puppies, right? He's not going to teach them anything good. And so, where Noah is, he's being very fair. He's being very playful. He's trying to interact and teach the dog through play.
Right. And like I said, Cha-Cha has trained many, many, many puppies. And now we still do For certain clients, I do private lessons where she comes out and she plays with them and she teaches them and all that. She used to be part of my puppy class where she'd come out and play with the puppies. She just cannot handle that anymore. She's better with one-on-one play. And Tango currently is really good with more adolescent dogs, but not so great with babies because he's so pushy. So,
Yeah, so Kim, what's the
Uh-huh.
benefit of two dogs that live together that don't get along of having them do a meet and greet? There really isn't any. When I was really trying to work it out between my boys, because I thought was some way I could make them like each other, right? And I was trying, and I would kind of feed them both by the fence, by the gate, and I would do all of these things. In the end, I feel like it's happier when they can just ignore each other, and I'm not forcing that interaction one way or the other, right? Now, Fire and Bam, what's the point of that? She didn't care. She didn't want to meet him, right? She's like, you're stupid, but she didn't care really that he's doing that, right? Where see Noah's going to get very offended. He's going to care a lot. He finds that threatening, even though Bam's just trying to play. He loves dogs, but he's a little more nervous about real pushy dogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where Fire's much more willing to show her teeth and say, "Don't get away from me." So,
right. And Deb, so if these dogs met and reacted this way, would you expect to have leave gates up everywhere? Yes, for now, Deb. I think I'll be honest with you. I think as Bam matures, whenever that happens, I think as he gets more mature and more mature, I think there'll be a time where he can be with Fire. I don't know if he'll ever be able to be with Noah, but I think there's going to be a point in time where he's going to be more mature and more respectful of her, and he'll be able to, because you could see he's already starting to show some of that respect, right? Like not wanting to get by her, not looking at her. So he's already figuring that out. So I think once he matures and he's become more of an adult dog, I think there will be a point where they can coexist without gates, right?
right. And I mean, I can walk them together. They can actually like go out and pee in the yard together. It's just when he gets that whole play boy, I want to play with you, she will run in the house. She doesn't want any part of that. Right.
Roger, Bam and Noah, you mean, were born with not something. Yeah. Bam's arousal is genetic, and you're born with that arousal, and that's what you have. You make it better or worse, but it's always going to be there. And yeah, Roger, when I selected my two young puppies, that was when I assessed them at that time, I wanted to make sure they were going to get along because I already lived in a house that was divided. So I didn't want that. So when I assessed Jive and Tango, I already assessed Cha-Cha, many years ago. I wanted to make sure that everything was going to work in my house. So yes, when I assessed them at 8 weeks, I knew their personalities, what they were going to be. And so I don't have any problems because of that. Where Joanne fell in love with Mr. Pants and
yep.
And there we are, right?
Yeah, now I will say this. I won't go into the how, right? Because we don't have time for that. But you can absolutely take Bam and create a very, very reactive dog aggressive dog. I can create that super simple. But that's where I'm saying I limit his interaction with dogs because of how he is. I don't want him to practice any of that snarkiness or any of that over arousal where it turns into a little bit of a little bit of aggression there, because that's not who he is, but he could very easily turn to that.
Right. And Mary, you reminded me, don't forget, you guys, when you have teenage dogs, and I know a few of you that are on here have puppies. So you can have a lot of great puppy time, but be careful as they become adolescents. That changes with time, right? So, yep. For example, the testosterone starts to rise, and the play gets a little more serious. So you might have your puppy might have friends now that as they hit adolescence, they might not be friends anymore. So you want to really keep that on check, and the play should always be a lot of give and take, and a lot of give and take, and a lot of I can't say give and take.
Reciprocity.
That's it.
I got you. I got your back. So, you know what might actually be worthwhile to show is the one through the sliding glass door, where you think that they're trying to play with each other, but absolutely that is not what is happening. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yes. Beth, yes. Bam actually plays with Amy W's Nova. They play very nicely together. They get along super well because they're both insane, so it works well.
Yep, he plays with a Ridgeback here as well. He loves her to death. They play for an hour. It's great.
Yeah, so very, very so he does have some friends, but again, that's all he needs, right? When he's at home, he has a friend he plays with. When he's here, he has a friend he plays with. So, and he is actually, because they usually stay with me when they're here, and he's very good with my dogs. The only one that he bullies a little bit is Tango, because Tango's Tango, and he's kind of
Really?
So Judy, Judy, so I will show that video. Can you talk about introducing an 8-week-old puppy to a resident dog, one that'll play with dogs but prefers they aren't overbearing or not super player? 8-week-old, I would definitely, I'm going to be honest, and I know Barb Fine is on this on live too. When you're introducing your puppy, I don't care what breed it is, to a resident dog, they can be in the house, but you should put gates to make sure they get used to each other, and they get for a few days, weeks maybe, depending on your dog, so that everybody's a little more, the dog gets used to being with the other puppy. I am not a big fan of just, throwing them together if you're not sure how it's going to be. So I would have gates where they can see each other through a gate and be each other. The body language of the dog will give you all that information, because you can see the dog will be like, okay, I can do that, right?
Yeah, and that's even more important if you have a senior dog, because puppies just don't know. They climb all over. That's what they've been doing for 8 weeks. And if you have a little ouchie, a senior that's a little ouchy, you might get a really bad reaction out of them, where the resident dogs already know how to treat that senior. Puppy doesn't know that.
Yep. And less is more, Judy. So if they have some time together and it goes well, separate. And if they play, the play session should be nice and short. Long, because once you get long, tired, real tired, overtired puppies, that's when you have problems. So let them play 5-10 minutes. Okay, be done. Break time, and then you can try again later. But don't let them play for 30 minutes. Like when my 2 puppies were young, they got to play for short periods. I always made sure they played with other dogs, but I didn't let them just play, because over time they get cranky, they get overtired, just like children, and nothing good will come of that. So, yeah. Yep. And that's what I mean. It's like, yep. And that's why, when they're in season, like Jive gets a little bitchy. So I get that. All right, so before we show the video, because we have one more video, and thank you to Alicia, Patty, and Sue for allowing us to use this video. So I'm going to preface the video with I'm gonna set it up first before we show the video. So the male shepherd, which is the one on the far end over here, just lost his housemate not long ago, and she was the leader of the house mostly, and he is not an alpha dog by any stretch, and probably never will be. He is a delicate flower, and that's why we love him. But now his owner would like for him to have some dog friends that he can hang out, go for walks, so he keeps his, social time. And again, doesn't have to be playful, but we wanted to see how he would react with the other dogs. And he's played with these 2 dogs when they were younger, but now these dogs are now older. They're 7. So again, he's become a little more reactive on his walks. So she's feeling that maybe having, remember him of old times might help. Yes, he is a little diva. He's more like a chicken, but we'll talk about that anyway. So, so anywho, so this is why we were trying to see how, if he remembers his girls, how he behaves and all that. And this was a longer process, but obviously we don't have time to watch all the video. But this is kind of where so this is Patty with Zia, and this is Alicia with Nazar. So we just allow, if he's able to sit still in a calm fashion, as she's moving, because movement adds a little bit of stress, and you can see he's a little like really wanting to meet her, but we're not. So we did this quite a long time before we allowed them to get closer, just to see if he's going to be reactive, because remember, they hadn't seen each other in a long time. So I wanted to see, and usually when they're still, it's usually easier, but when when movement is added, it becomes a bigger problem. So they were pretty good. He's very excited, still a little amped up there, but they did okay, right? It was not a bad situation. So eventually they got to meet and had him go, and he was a little calmer. And what we were looking for in this video is for him to, when his owner called him away, that he came away easily without a leash or anything like that. So hold on before we go there. So we got him to where he can come away from walking towards the other dog easily. Alicia was able to call him away, and he came with her willingly without tugging towards, the other dog. So then after we did a little bit of that, remember, this all took place in an hour, and this is only a condensed version of it. So then we decided it was good enough for them to do a short meet and greet on leash. Again, should be very short. Do not let them hang in there. It's 1, 2, 3 and apart, right? Quickly and easily up and apart, right? So they can come away from each other. So we did this for a little bit, and usually all you need to do this is 3 times. The dogs will tell you, kind of like different from Gidget, and where Gidget's like, I don't want to meet that dog. So eventually, and here, I'm sorry, it skipped to that. So eventually they did really good on the meet and greet. They were able to meet together and hang out together, and they did great. So then we decided to take them off leash and see how they were going to be, right? And this is what happened. Nazar was like, I don't want to meet her. I want to meet her, but I need my mommy. Seriously, it was all about that. He did not want to leave Alicia's side if her life. So here, this is over time. They're both still off leash. And he goes, no, but you'd never know it, right? Because he was like, I'm not going over there.
Are you coming? I need my backup.
She goes up to him. He's okay. Little worried, a little nervous about it, but okay. And they kind of, and as soon as Alicia left, he goes, oh my God, my mommy. So
embarrassing. Oh, it's okay. I have one of those too, Alicia.
Well, now, so then, yeah, so he didn't want to play, but he also didn't. And Deb, this is going to go right into your question right here. So off leash, he's not going to be the aggressor. He's not a killer. He didn't all of a sudden become this maniac, this crazy dog. He's just worried. And right now he's probably not in a good place. He's he's alone. He's the only dog. So he needs to get back in the swing of being around dogs. He doesn't have to like them. And I think over time, they'll be okay, right? Big tough GSDs. I know. Shh! Don't tell anybody, Amy.
He's taking a GSD license.
Well, here. So this one was with Penny. Now Penny is she's related to my dog. So if anybody knows my dog, he's a big mouth. So is she. So she came in barking, and as she always does, she has to make her announcements. So, and she makes her announcements for every class, every time she walks in the building that she's been in 20,000 times, but everybody needs to know she's there. So that's how she rolls. And she's not aggressive. She's just announcing herself, which is fine. So here, Nazar didn't find that as fun, right? So she was a little more, so she was, but you see, Penny was unsure about stepping forward, right? Unsure. And again, we did a lot of the same stuff before, like we did with Patty going around. We did all of that stuff. And here we were trying to get Nazar to calm down because he was very amped up about the barking. So this was after quite a while. This was after, oh my God, this was like 30 minutes later, right? And he finally was able to lay down and relax around with Penny's presence, right? So we allowed them to meet, and it didn't go very well at all because and so the barking that Penny did was she was very offended by that whole situation. How dare you? How dare you? So he didn't really try to hurt her. He was just nervous, and he just was, and it was uh, a lot of barking and a lot of talk. But obviously, you would not set these two dogs off leash because Zia is a little stronger dog with other dogs. She means more business, where Penny is a little softer dog. So he knew that, and he was able to go, yeah, I'm gonna. So I think over time they might be able to get used to being around each other, but you would not take these two dogs off leash, and you would just, they don't need to meet again. The answer has been, they gave us their answer. It's not going to work out right at that moment, right? So then what we did, then we just went ahead and did to kind of salvage the situation after Penny's very, very offended. She was very, very offended.
A lot of four-letter words right there.
Yeah, lots of them. So there you go. They were able to walk near each other, have a nice walk, and get everybody calmed down. And that's, so now what the goal is for this crew of dogs is to go for walks, parallel walks with each other. And also Nazar started class again, so he could be around other dogs in a good, positive way. Because he was nervous about it. Because you see, it's the same dog. If there was aggression there, he was just, he knew Penny was not a, yeah, great recovery. They did great. And it wasn't very serious, which is good. It just looks real serious when it's shepherds. If there was two poodles, it wouldn't be a problem.
No, but you can see how representing that situation over and over again, hoping it gets better, and giving them more freedom than what they could have, could actually turn into aggression pretty quickly.
Yep. And that's what, and Deb, when you talked about leash pressure, that's what I mean. The leash might have been gotten tight on one side or the other, and that's why you get and actually, it could have gotten tight on and we'd have to watch it in real slow-mo like I'm doing now. So there might have been a little bit of a tight leash on Alicia's point there, a little bit, that caused it, and it was just enough pressure for him to think he's a toughie, right? Because while it was loose, well, they were both leashes were loose, they were fine, right? But you see a little bit of tension on that leash. So that's why that's why this particular thing about meeting and greeting, it's got to be supervised by somebody else. You can't do it by yourself. Poodles are weenies. Yeah. So yeah, so leash pressure does mean, and then for a Doberman, I think Amy W had a Doberman that the minute you tighten the leash, he'd be like, ah, the minute you release it, quiet as a mouse. It was like boop, 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 boop. Poodles can be a problem too. No kidding. They're adorable. But yeah, and you can have these problems with any dogs. It's just people look, when it's a German Shepherd or a German breed, it's really, people get more worried. Yep, Cinder, that was it.
Yes, the Germans are very open with their communication, so in people and in dogs.
Right.
So
leash pressure matters a lot. Yes.
Yes. And then, Judy, you were asking, would you be using treats? Want to make sure the resident dog isn't jealous. It's a fine line of treats, okay? And when I use treats, I will use treats to see if the dog will move into or out of a space, or I will use it to reward the dog from coming away from something like when I call, just like Nancy's video was just showing, right, where they come forward. Can you come away without me having to put the leash pressure on you? Then I would pay the dog. Yeah, what a good dog, right? What I'm not going to do is use that treat to say, go say hi or go see that dog, or right, because you have these dogs that are very hungry dogs, and they'll put themselves in harm's way or make really dumb decisions for that cookie. It doesn't end well, right? Sometimes nothing happens, but sometimes they make themselves a lot more vulnerable than what they would do on their own if it was not for the food.
Yeah. No, that is not a reactive dog class. No. This was just a private lesson with these 3 dogs. We never do that in reactive dog class. Ever. That was just these are dogs I know very, very well. That I know very well. And no, I would never do this in a reactive dog class.
Right.
That
yeah,
is,
and I think we teach the same type of reactive dog class, and those dogs never meet. In the 6-week class, they will never ever meet.
Yeah, we just want them to be okay together. And Mary, yeah, Penny was like, Penny was like, I don't know about that. So she already knew it wasn't. She was a little worried, but Nazar took advantage of that a little bit. But again, they Penny and Nazar played a ton when they were puppies, a lot. But see what I mean? Doesn't last. They're 7 years, and they hadn't seen each other for many years. So Penny and Nazar used to play all the time, like every day almost. So so now, I think it wasn't very serious. So I think they can be friends. I don't know if they'll ever play. And really, at 7 years old, they're not really going to play. They can just be together and hang out and have a social time, right? I don't think they're gonna. At 7 years old, they really don't play. My 13-year-old is the only one that's super playful. She's ridiculous, but
in terms of humans, with that scenario, right? Think back now that we have Facebook, right, and you can connect with everyone that you never knew what happened to in life. Who was your best friend, or who did you play with a lot in first, second, or third grade, right? And I would say probably 90% of people in this world. Do you still talk to them? No, right? So it's not like that lasting relationship from that point in your life. Sometimes it doesn't stick. So it's the same thing.
Yeah, right.
As we grow up into adults, our childhood friends, sometimes you're like, I don't know how I was friends with you. Gosh, you're so people change.
And dogs change. And that's why, because he played with Penny all the time. And I think they can be able to, I think a good goal is they can go for walks together. They can, just be and hang out. They don't have to play, but they can go for walks together and all that. And I think that's fine. And really at that age, that's perfectly normal. A lot of 7-year-olds don't run around playing so much. I mean, they just don't. I mean, my two 3-year-olds, they play, but not like they used to. They play, every once in a while, and then they stop, and then they play, and then they stop. They just don't play as much as they used to.
Well, maybe if you'd let them run in the house a little more, they'd play a little more.
Yeah, no. Deb's asking, is there a signal that can be seen in an only dog that tells you he's getting a second dog is a good decision, rather than just think my dog needs a brother or sister? Oh yeah, totally. Totally makes sense. Yes. Some dogs, usually, Deb, if your dog is cool being around other dogs and it doesn't have any real issue with them, yeah, probably getting a second dog won't be a big deal, right? It'll be okay. And it also depends on what you get and how you get it, because that's for me, I had to structure my house a certain way. I had Cha-Cha, who's already my resident older dog, and I had little dogs and cats. So I had to make sure the dogs I got were okay with all of those, right? And especially when I was selecting a female, if I was going to select a female. So I got the lab first, and I knew her and Cha-Cha would be okay, and they would be great together. So then when the time came to get a GSD, I knew getting a female German Shepherd was a bad idea. I needed a certain type of boy and a certain type of personality so that my house would have harmony, and I got that. right? That's why I picked. Would I have loved another female shepherd? Absolutely. But I knew going into it that that wasn't going to be wise for just regular life. So my dogs all get along. There's my lab corrects my shepherd all the time for my male shepherd for him being rude, but otherwise it's pretty harmonious in my house. But that's why I have to have that, right? I already lived in a divided. I lived where I was where Joanne is, and I don't want to do that again. So, what did Amy ask? Is important to understand the dog? Yeah. So yeah, so Deb, I think if your dog is cool with other dogs and being around other dogs, it's probably fine. Like Nazar, I think over time he should be able to have a brother or sister. I think he'd be okay with it. It's just going to take him time to get used to it. And you just have to get a very confident young dog. Nazar is a kind of a delicate flower, so getting another submissive kind of delicate flower kind of dog would not be a good idea for Alicia. She would need a more confident puppy that's going to, be in charge. And Nazar is okay with not being in charge. He's totally cool with it. He is okay not being in charge. He's good with it. So then you can, find somebody that, like my Cha-Cha is okay not being in charge. She's good with it. She is now, but I think she'd be okay without being in charge. She wouldn't care. As long as there's cookies and everything's all good. I don't think she'd care.
Alicia, if you're looking for a pushy Doberman breeder, I can put you in the right direction. Just letting you know.
Any other questions? So this is the first piece of what I wanted to talk about. We wanted to talk about. So I wanted to, Joanne mentioned about the video about hold on, let me see if I can find that. Oh, hold on.
Yeah, Katie got a puppy who was actually really confident, and her dog is, her resident dog was pretty low confidence, kind of like testing the waters, a little pushy, a little, and so yeah, we talked about it. She did have to be pretty careful about their interactions because at such those impressionable ages, that's what they have to play with a lot. It can really change their behavior.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a 750. So here's a video of Joanne's dog 750. So screen window, the yappy Vishla. So it looks like it's play bow, but it's maybe not. How old was Bam here, Joanne?
Somewhere between, I would say, like 14, 16 months, 12 and 15 months, maybe, give or take. He had somewhere just over a year old.
So what do you guys notice about about their behavior? Do you think they want to play?
Or you can answer individually. Do you think Bam wants to play? Do you think Noah wants to play?
Wait, let me get the other. Here's part 2. Go lie down.
Where's he been?
Yes, Bam was yawning. He goes, "Oh my God, relax, dude." Yeah, Noah is needy. Jesus Christ, he's ridiculous needy.
Yeah. Why are you outside without me? Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of stress from yeah.
That's Michelle. Right. Not even looking at him.
Yep.
Mama, make him go away. He says that a lot, Liz.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Wait.
So this is where I think sometimes you have to be careful, right? Well, what did you see? Well, they play bowed. They play bowed at each other. They didn't play bowed at each other. Just because a dog throws off one signal, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the tail comes up, or oh, he was panting, or oh, like you can't just use the one tiny thing. You have to put the story together, right? So you could say, well, this dog played bowed, this dog played bowed, this dog played bowed again, but look at the rest of the story, and it's really not jiving. They really did not want to hang out. Bam probably would have played with Noah, but Noah wanted no part in that, right?
Yeah, no, Noah's very, very dramatic, as he is always.
He's ready for his close up.
Yes, he is. Right, and that is true. That is not always a desire to play. Sometimes,
Right.
because I've seen some play balls with the straight front legs. Those are not welcoming. So anyway, so this is the part about meet and greets. I wanted to really leave you with thinking about what your dog wants to do, if they want to play. And they don't make, if they're really clear about not wanting to interact, then go with that. Pizza has special needs. Stiff posture, Noah's hard-eyed, tight mouth. Yeah. Little turd.
Yep. So, just take a minute and observe, right? Really, really observe your dog and forget what you think you know and ask them, what do you really think about this? You may be 100% right, but you may be like, huh, well, I always thought he liked that dog. Maybe he doesn't like that dog so much, right? Or he's not so quick to want to play, and I sort of put him in that situation because, I want him to be tired when I'm done for the day or whatever it is, right? But just test your own observation skills going forward and see if you see something you might not have seen before.
Right. So this is the part one, right, about meet and greets. Really be clear and listen to your dog when they're telling you about wanting to interact with another dog. That's all we want you to get out of it. Really listen. If they don't want to, it's okay. And I know it's hard because we're polite human beings and we don't want to be rude and we don't want to hurt people's feelings. Because I understand people's feelings get very hurt when the dog doesn't want to play. But I have to say, we all, there's a group of us that have dogs that are about the same age. And when they were puppies, it was one way, and now that they're grown-ups, it's different. So, and we've adjusted to it, and they still hang out. They can be around each other in a good way, but not the same way.
Right.
So, they can be, so Noah and Tango can be together, but they, they're not going to play because, Noah's doesn't like, Godzilla. But they can be around each other with not a problem, and they can ignore each other and they can do their own thing and it's fine. Mm-hmm. Where Four and Tango, no, can't be together, where they were together when they were younger. So
Four and Noah are brothers, and they were together, I'm not even kidding you, at least twice a month until they were about 9-10 months old. I mean, at a minimum of twice a month. So they saw each other all the time. Always had great experiences. It just turned one day, right? Little bits of growl here, little bits of growl there. The play got a little harder, and now they don't. We don't even let them be out together. There's just too much posturing, and it's just what it turned into. They didn't have a bad experience. They didn't fight. They just now they don't care for each other so much anymore.
Yeah, but they are good around other dogs. They don't.
Yes.
They're fine with other dogs. It's all good. So that's what I mean. They can be together in a different way. Just can hang out. It's like us when we were young. We would roughhouse and tug and push each other. Now we would sit around and drink wine and hang out and talk. That's okay, right? So that's why they can be. It's just the way they're going to be together is going to change over time. And that's basically what you really want to look out for. It's going to change over time, like how they're going to be together and how that's going to look. and how that's going to look, right? So that's all, just be aware of it and don't put the dog in a bad situation where the dog now is going to have aggression or have issues or be scared of other dogs. All those things are really, really something to think about. So anyway, that's it for tonight. If you're interested, we are going to do one on dog play. If you have video that you would like to send us on dog play so we can talk about it, we'd love to have it. You can send it to Nancy at For Your Canine or
Joanne at forbetterforworse.com.
Yep, Joanne and send it via YouTube link, please. All right. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We'll see you all soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.